Welcome to Beyond the Clef, going further with your music program, presented by Director's Choice. This is a podcast for music educators by music educators. Our hope is that we can offer tips, advice, and inspiration, helping you to reach beyond. So today, I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain at Director's Choice. If you are a Director's Choice customer, you probably know your travel consultant really well. You may know some of our management team, but I bet you don't realize what goes on behind the scenes, especially in our operations department. Today we're going to tell you the story of how we got 4 groups stuck in New York City during Winter Storm Stella home. Enjoy.
On Sunday, our first airline canceled, and so even though it was a Sunday, we got together and said we really need to get to the office and talk this through, because we have 4 groups there with different sales managers and different people involved, and we just need to get everybody in one room and kind of talk through war room situation, what happens if trips start canceling. So we got together Sunday, wrote everything out on a whiteboard, and so that we could keep track of where the group was, what hotel they were at, what airlines they were on when they left, just so if things started to go awry that we were already ahead of it. And I believe salespeople called the groups on Sunday and kind of alerted them.
Well, good. So that's my next thing, and I love that because I don't know that we always have the opportunity to work that far ahead, but they were predicting like 20 inches of snow in New York City, and thank goodness that is not what happened, but our groups were still crippled and they were still stuck. So those of you who are travel consultants, talk about what those initial conversations were like and what a difference it made getting that far ahead of the situation and being really proactive with our directors. Allison, why don't you start?
Sure. My conversation with our group was actually fairly positive because they had been watching the situation just as much as we had been, and they had kind of thought over in their minds what happens if they weren't caught by surprise by my call. They were very appreciative that we were working on it. The group that I had a local tour director based out of New York, and she was invaluable as far as thinking of what if situations, being there and being from there and knowing where everything was and how to occupy the group and how to kind of talk them through what to do. So we had a lot of conversations between the tour director, the director of the group, and myself.
Good. And Travis, talk about what some of your conversations were like with your group as this started. Before it snowballed.
Well, mine was the group that got canceled on Sunday. And so it immediately went into, okay, that's been canceled, and we've got everything under control. We're looking at the different options, and the conversation was just to reassure them of what's going on, that we're working on everything, we're getting it taken care of on your behalf, and as soon as we have those details, we can relay those, and we're formulating a plan for your group that's going to work.
So there was lots of real-time changes going on for 4 different groups. And I'll let you speak to this a little bit, Rachel. How did you bridge the contact between your 2 clients and then all of the people on this operations team to keep everybody aware of what was going on and the changes, because things were happening fast?
What, you mean through the process?
Yeah.
Well, we had the group chat, which was super helpful. Tuesday, I basically sat back here and just was communicating between Marcy and the team, because that was the easiest thing to do for the Seguin group with 158 people that had to be out of their hotel, and where are they going to go and how are we going to get them there. And so at that time, I was in communication with the director, letting him know we're working on it, because there's also considerations he has to take in to do that. And it was communicated very well between Shelba and Marcy and myself, and the parent and the director constantly had a way to talk to them.
Good. Lots of moving parts then.
A lot of moving parts, but they
All
were
right.
very flexible.
So airlines, that was the first biggest obstacle to go through. Maddie, can you talk to us about how some of that worked? Because things we had air flying around everywhere. We had seats everywhere. We were grabbing air everywhere.
It really is a matter of just grabbing as many seats as you possibly can as quickly as you can. You know, I mean, don't worry about airlines or schedule or anything. It's just grab the seats as soon as they become available. Grab them, name them, and keep them.
So there was 283 seats that needed to be secured, and I was reading that some 4,000 flights were canceled. So we're trying to grab this incredible amount of seats, but so is everyone else on the Eastern Seaboard.
We have some incredible partners that do amazing things. Yeah.
So walk us through. We had some pretty cool stories too about how we were able to accommodate some of these groups.
Oh, yeah. Well, the group that was flying with Virgin America is obviously like what Virgin was able to do for them was just incredible. You know, I mean, they eventually got to, we were going to switch them to Alaskan Air because Alaska and Virgin have just recently merged, and so a nonstop Alaska Air flight from Newark to San Jose, I believe, they rerouted a direct flight to stop in DFW just to unload this one group. Like that's pretty incredible.
Like who does that?
Right. Director's Choice does that.
Very nice, Maddie. Hotels. So we had to get some extra room nights, and it was like night to night. So can you talk a little bit about that, Marcy?
Yeah, we when we came in Monday morning and things were just canceling, we had airlines, we had 4 different hotels, we had 4 different airlines, we had 4 different groups. It was hard to keep them all organized, so we quickly, put up on our wall a list of where everyone is and where they were at. We have incredible hotel partners, as Joanna will attest to, and most of them called us and said, we've got you, we have room for your group, we already know that they're going to need to stay. What's incredible about this is that all of those people and all of those flights that were canceled, it might have, if you're traveling by yourself, it's you need one room and one airline ticket, or your family, you might need 2 rooms and 4 airline tickets. Like you said, this is almost 300 people, airline tickets and hotel rooms. So we quickly grabbed hotels, and we did have a group that had to move hotels because we had a group that we kicked out an NBA team to put our group in there.
They said, do you want these? Because the NBA team wants your room. So we need to know. And we won. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's incredible. But our hotel partners were awesome, and they know us, and they know that we're going to bring business back to them. So what they did for the kids was fantastic, not just for the rooms, but for meals and for activities too.
Yeah, so talk about meals activities. They ended up with about 2 extra days in New York City. We're scrambling. I know their group leaders had a lot to deal with, but for the most part, I think these kids were thinking, woohoo, extended vacation.
Yeah.
So, Joanna, talk a little bit about some of the things that we did to help keep them busy for these extra days they were there.
well, some of the groups were in New York, in Manhattan, and some were in New Jersey. The groups that were in New Jersey were really stranded. So one of our hotels we have a long relationship with, actually the one that saved our rooms, the basketball team had them, set up a ballroom, had popcorn, movies, games they could have the entire day. So to keep them occupied. So that was nice. And they didn't, they just did it just because they wanted to provide some good service, and of course, keep them all in one spot. So, but yeah. So those groups that were in Manhattan, they had a little bit more freedom, because if they wanted to, like, when they determined that the weather wasn't as bad as it could have been, they could kind of go out on their own. They had, metro cards. They could kind of act normally like you would. So they were in a completely different situation. So
Cool. Now, the other thing that I know...
Somebody had a snowman building
Oh, yeah.
contest. Somebody
That
had a
was
snowball
Travis.
fight. Somebody
Yeah.
had
Is that your
a...
group?
It's my group did snowball fights in Central
Yeah,
Park.
we did snowball fights. Ours did it out there, but it wasn't a snowball.
We did a talent show.
Yeah, the 158 people that were stranded the extra couple of nights, we couldn't get them out till today. The hotel was also very accommodating and offering meals and places for them to hang out. They did a snowman building contest and put it on Facebook. They also did a talent show later that evening where they had to play different instruments and stuff like that. So the director was very innovative in keeping these kids busy.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, they had a trip of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So the other thing I was going to throw out there, and I wanted to ask you about this, Zach, is I know one of the things when y'all mobilized on Sunday, you know, there's a lot of choices to be made, there's a lot of decisions to be made, and we're here to facilitate, but there's to be a lot of conversation, not just with the group leader, but you had to talk to administrators as well, because there were things that had to be approved as we went through this process. So talk a little bit about how you manage that, and because this is not fun for someone who's in charge of last minute decision making.
Sure, and it puts the director, I'm sure it's a very lonely feeling when you're out there with 158 kids, or however, whatever group size, even if it's only 25 kids, you're in charge of all of those kids, and you have to make some quick decisions that you weren't planning on. So the snowstorm was something that caught everybody by surprise, and they often involve financials. So that director, unless they just have an incredibly wealthy booster program, and that's rare that happens, they're usually going to need some administrator support. And there were times that we, both Marcy and myself, were talking to administrators to kind of walk them through the decision process or the decision-making process to arm them with the best choices that fit for their group and their budget.
Good, good. And that's real important. So they still were in control. We were
Sure.
just coming alongside to do what they thought was best for their group.
Absolutely. Multiple choices every time. I think whenever teachers teach, and this is what we do, so sure, teachers may be able to go and book a hotel, but to have the plethora of partners that we have to offer the choices, to offer the different price ranges and the options that, well, like Marcy said, they were calling us so that we could better offer those choices to our directors and administrators.
Good. Goodness. Well, what else would you say about some of the things that y'all sort of did in the Stella war room here that really made a difference for these groups? Any of you that might want to add something?
I think I'm fairly new to this team, so this was an interesting challenge for me to go through and to watch everybody come together and get the information out and think ahead of the group as to what was next. In fact, we had to slow down sometimes because we were thinking about what they're going to have for dinner tonight, and we still need to get this done first. So we definitely think through the whole process and have enough people to handle all those different things. If you were just one person on your own trying to call the hotel and the airlines and the bus companies and the restaurants, you can't do it. To have someone in charge of hotels and bus and air and restaurants and have all of us involved in it and working together as a team, it was incredible to watch for me, and it makes me proud to be a part of Director's Choice.
I think a fun story to illustrate what you were just saying and how everybody's doing their individual thing, but we all come together as a team, and the fact that we have so many groups out there and we do so much volume, we're able to take advantage of circumstances that if you're traveling by yourself, you just wouldn't. So one example I can think of is your group, Rachel, and then Travis's group, transporting them from the group that had to leave Manhattan out to New Jersey. We didn't have a way to get them there because the city of New York shut down all transportation of buses anyway. So we were in a real pickle, and I think Maddie came up with the solution that ultimately worked out. So anyways, I'm sorry for cutting in, Stephanie.
No, I want to know. I mean, y'all
Well,
lived it.
yeah.
So, Maddie, how did you deal with it?
Well, we had one group that had to move hotels because the current hotel couldn't accommodate them for the night, but we found one in New Jersey. Unfortunately, they didn't have any dedicated buses to them right then because we were just going to do transfers the whole time they were going to be in the city. But our other group, Travis's group, that was staying at the same hotel, they were all just going to hang out. They weren't really using the buses that they had assigned to them. So they graciously allowed us to borrow their buses to move our other group to New Jersey instead of making that group walk in the snow. So that way, so we just kind of borrowed from one to help out the other, and I think they all worked out well.
Okay, I love
Yeah.
that story. That's fantastic. Very good. What else? So let me ask you this. What did you learn individually as you had to deal with this? Because I feel like we for 20 years we've been doing things like this. I feel like this was a special circumstance. I feel like we were very proactive and really organized about how we handled this. But what did you learn that you could take with you, for the next situation that's unexpected that may come up?
I'll say that the communication that was bouncing around was incredible. I mean, on Sunday I was out of town. across the state, and yet I was still in connection with the team in real time, getting updates and being able to then relay those to my director remotely, and I didn't feel like me being out hindered our ability to get in touch with the director and get what they needed in a timely manner, get them the answers that they're gonna need and want, because they've got parents and administrators and people back home that are all asking questions, and so whether or not it's now's the time for that to carry out, they need answers. They want answers. They want to be reassured, and they want to reassure those people. And so I was very grateful for the way we communicated, so that I could have that information and relay that information to my groups. And then additionally, like jumping on what Allison said earlier, those tour directors are amazing. They helped keep everyone calm. They helped come up with activities. I think the tour director on my group organized a cell phone dance party where they used music and they had a dance party. And, it's just coming up with those ideas. And I know Allison's was super awesome in figuring out what to do with that group. But it helps pass that time because they're stuck. So that can get kind of scary on a director's side if, like, I have all these kids and what are we going to do with them? Yeah. Those tour directors were invaluable.
Great. What other thoughts or experiences?
Internally, I liked the meetings to catch up because it's just easier than I'm up front, they're back here, and I'm going to call you. No, I thought of this. I love collaborating, but I also like working together to fix a problem. So I think that was something new that I don't think we've done a lot of in the past. I can't remember completely right now.
Y'all are just like worn to a thread at this point.
But it's been good. I also realized in these situations, being careful how you communicate certain important details. Sure. Because people are already on the trip, or already at a point where they're frustrated and fixing all these little last minute, and we're waiting on our vendors, making sure they're calm and that we've communicated with them appropriately of expectations is important.
So did anybody have to have a hard conversation, and how did you handle that with the director?
Didn't you want positive stuff?
I don't know. I think it's important though. I mean, because I liked what you said, that because we can't shy away from the hard stuff. We've got to communicate so that they can communicate.
Exactly.
Well, we all had to have difficult conversations about flights being canceled. Not sure what the rebooking looks like, but we're on it. Even if American Airlines has a 5-hour phone wait, we're going to be right there with you. You're going to hear from us.
Yeah.
So we may not have an answer at this moment, but trust us that we're working on it. And sometimes, like you said, those directors can feel very alone when something like this is happening, even though they're surrounded by their students and the other parents on the trip. And a tour director, I'm sure in this situation there were moments where they were internally feeling very alone and not too sure about what was going to happen. And just reaching out. Sometimes it was just, how's everything going today? Here's where we are. Can we do anything for you? And they were just thankful just to know someone was with them, even though we were on the phone, just saying, you're not alone. We're here. We care about you. We're working for you on this.
Perfect. Yeah. As long as that's enough. I mean, just to know we're doing everything within our power as quickly as we can. Anybody else have anything else you want to sort of throw out there from what you learned or how we navigated this situation for our groups?
I think tour directors, I know Travis talked about it, but trips with tour directors, if you can make the commitment to do that for your group, especially if you're going on a complicated trip, it's super valuable. We've got some amazing people that we work with. I know Dana, who lives in New York, I think she offered to take the kids over to her apartment building because there was a big lobby space there, and even when you're stuck in a storm and there's nothing open, for someone to do that is incredible. Now, these tour directors are also stuck and missing, time getting home to their family and the rest of their spring break. And I can tell you, I haven't heard one peep out of any of them about that. Their sole concern was getting those kiddos home and making sure that everybody is safe. They put themselves on the last flights, on the last, they want to make sure that everybody is home. And some of the groups are still in the air as we speak. They're not home yet. So that's been incredible.
Well, there you have it, a peek behind the curtain at Director's Choice. As I watched these teams mobilize, I was really impressed by their personal commitment to find a way to dig out of the snow and dig deep for solutions to get these groups home. This is the kind of thing you'll never see line-itemed on a trip proposal. As our owner, John Locke, says, you can't put a price on taking care of people. It's just what we do.